After reading the directions for the 4's weekly quiz number 2, you might be stuck, you might be a little bit confused. So I want to give you 3 tips that hopefully set you straight and help you get on your way to solving the problems. Tip number 1, and this is true for any math problem that you ever do, not just this year as an 8th grader, but going forward and really any problem in life in general. The first thing that you need to know in any math problem is, what are you trying to find out? So in this particular problem, you need to create expressions that equal 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 24. Now expressions, you've studied expressions before. Expressions are like 3 plus 2. That could get you 5, right? Or 7 plus 4. That could get you 11. But the issue is, if it was this simple, you probably would be saying to yourself, I'll be done this in 2 seconds. Here's the other thing that you need to consider when you solve any problem, whether it be in math or anything where you're solving a problem. What do you already know? So you should know that the only number you're allowed to use is 4. So as I look at this expression 3 plus 2, it does get me 5, but I don't use the number 4. In fact, I use 2 no-no numbers, the number 2 and the number 3. I need to use exactly 4 4s. So you could do 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4, and that would get you 16, right? Which is a number that I actually already gave you because I think it's an easier one. Notice though, I used 4 4s, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I used any operation I wanted to, in this case addition. Now again, you can use any operation you want to. So, in case you forgot, what's tip number 1? I think it's always good to go back and ask this question a second time because sometimes we just get in TV mode when we're watching videos. Tip number one was, what are you trying to find out and what do you know? Always ask those questions in any math problem. In this particular problem, you're trying to find out an answer that'll get you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 24. Now keep in mind, I already gave you 4 answers, so I guess what that means, if we include 0, you had to do 25 problems up front. I've already done 4 of them for you. So you're trying to find out the answer to 21 different expressions. And what do you know? Those expressions, you're only allowed to use the digit 4. And you can use any operation you want. Tip number 2. Problems don't do don't do the problems in order. Yeah, you can scramble it up. Usually when you read, it doesn't make sense to read problems don't order do in the. But in this case, because it doesn't really matter if you solve the answer for getting an expression that equals 7 or an expression that equals 11, I would just start scribbling. You always used to love to scribble when you were little. So what do I mean by scribble? I mean, if you have a problem like you're trying to find 11, instead of just plugging in numbers till you get 11, just experiment. 4 divided by 4, let's see, that equals 1, okay. Plus 4, that equals 5, okay. Minus 4, that equals 1. Oh, I think we already found that, but maybe if I do something else instead of minus 4 here, I'll get a solution that works. So you keep plugging away. 4 divided by 4 is 1, plus 4 is 5, and then, you could add 4 or do whatever you want to do from there. But I think it's important that you experiment. And the last tip is you should start to recognize shortcuts by over-analyzing the directions. So really apply reasoning to what you're doing. And I'm going to give you 3 hints within this tip about what I mean. And if I give away too much, I think it kind of ruins things for you. And I want you to solve this on your own and not water this down so it's too easy of an assignment. But you can use any operation. So by any operation, that means I can take the square root of 4, which, by the way, means what times what equals 4. That is a cheater's way of writing the number 2. So, yes, you can only use 4 4s, but if you write the square root of 4, it's like you're using the number 2. Not only this, but another thing that you might have picked up in the past is this. If you follow the number 4 with an exclamation point, that means 4 factorial, which is the same as 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So that's a cheap way to get a different number. This happens to equal 24. And In addition to this, I think it's nice to know that you're using 4 4s. We don't have to use 4 as an independent number. In fact, you could use 44. You could use 4 and 4 tenths. You could use 4 tenths. Heck, you could even use 444 if you wanted to, although at that point it might be tough to shrink it down because it needs to be between 0 and 24. The point is, be a little bit creative in how you attack this. Finally, now that you know some cheater ways to get numbers like 2 or 24, and you also know that you don't have to write 4 just as a single digit all the time, and you can even make it into a decimal number, take those basic operations and consider what you can make with 2 4s, and use that as a cheat sheet. So for instance, I know that 4 over 4 is the same thing as 1, and 4 plus 4 has a number, and 4 minus 4 has a certain number that it equals. Use those to your advantage and go back and rely upon them as you're trying to figure out, all right, what combination of numbers can I use to create a new answer? Hopefully that helps. Otherwise, I am available from 9 o'clock until 10:45. Good luck.